All right, Meat Boys, the main event of the evening. This is a straight up banger. We got Dan the Hangman Hooker taking on Dustin the Diamond, aka P Head Poirier. The Diamond is 17-5-1 in the UFC. He's got two times he beat Max Holloway. He beat Showtime Pettis, beat Justin Gaethje, beat Eddie Alvarez. Most recently, we know he lost to Khabib over in Abu Dhabi in a close fight where Dustin did have his moments. He's going against Dan the Hangman Hooker, who has been on an absolute tear as of late. I mean, if we remember, Dan Hooker is the last guy to beat Gilbert Burns. He actually knocked him out, and we know what Gilbert Burns has done since then. So pretty impressive stuff. He's another one of those Eugene Behrman-taught fighters out of New Zealand. Trains with the likes of Israel Adesanya. Trains with the Overgrown Midget. A lot of good stuff coming out of Eugene Behrman's City Kickboxing. Tell me your analysis of this fight. Do you think the Hangman Hooker can get the job done against the P-Head Poirier, or do you think it's going to be a levels fight that Diamond makes the most out of? How do you see this one going, me boy?
Yeah, I know. I really don't see Hooker getting past the Diamond. I have a few friends that are really on this Dan Hooker bandwagon and train, which he's looking good. He's definitely a person to be careful of in that division. He's definitely a threat. But just seeing his last performance versus Paul Felder, which is a very high level fighter, but I don't think he's on Dustin's level. And I personally think that he lost to Paul Felder, and he didn't look good. He looked like he gassed. Dustin has an infinite tank. Dustin will go 10 rounds easy. His boxing, I would say, is one of the best in that division. Just showed versus the Max Holloway. Like, Max Holloway is one of the greatest fighters of all time, and Dustin really just outclassed him and outstruck him and powered him. I don't see Dan Hooker being stronger than Dustin. Dustin's a pretty strong guy, even though Hooker is 6 foot to Dustin's 5'9", but they're still 155. And I can't imagine Hooker's weight cut being, that pleasant also. So
Sure.
it's definitely going to be a pretty even fight on size. I don't really see that argument. I just see that Diamond's, he's been there forever. His resume up until Khabib is just unmatched in that division, in my opinion. Besides Khabib, of course. But yeah, I think he's just going to outclass him and absolutely destroy Hooker.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hangman does have a size advantage. I mean, you mentioned the weight cut. That dude is huge. I don't know how he cuts down to 155.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
crazy.
imagine those sparring sessions with him and Israel are actually probably pretty competitive because the size difference isn't too vast, despite the fact that Adesanya is the king of 185. So it really speaks to the size and the weight cut of Hooker being pretty insane. You mentioned Poirier's striking. Ever since he picked up that nice crisp jab that he kind of has to default back to, he's just been phenomenal on the feet. He's always had that boxing, but that jab over these last few years has just been an amazing tool he's added to the arsenal. He just, like you mentioned, dismantled Max Holloway in a fight that I really think opened a lot of people's eyes as to how freaking talented Dustin the Diamond Poirier is. I too am going to go with Dustin Poirier in this one. I think actually he's going to get the finish. I think the stand up is going to be too much for him. Ultimately, I see Hangman Hooker's head clattering off the canvas, as Connor said. So I'm going with Dustin the Diamond. How do you think Dustin gets it done inside the small cage, me boy?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I think he's going to get a finish. I think if it's not the first round by, just high volume, heavy hits on Hooker, I think it's going to be in the later rounds. It did seem like Hooker really has a tough time with his cardio, proof of the Felder fight, and I think Poirier is a way tougher fight than the Dragon himself. So Hooker is definitely in for a war, and I don't see him coming out on top.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's going to be a war. Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker. It's the UFC on ESPN 12 main event. Tune in, Meat Boys. Take it to the grill.